Okay, hi.
Hi, it's Andrea and Laura. It's
We're
not personal.
back.
We're talking. We're back. We're talking on a podcast recording number 2 for us this week.
We actually broke the podcast
Yes, the
recording
last
software.
time the last time we did this, it shut down. We talked for so long. I said, let's do 20 minutes. Let's have a
I
20-minute
know.
podcast. And then it was 45 minutes later, and the whole system and all the internet said, guess what? You're done. And it shut
You're
off.
out.
Yeah.
Literally, okay. And at the start of our recording, I said there's something I really want to tell you that you're gonna be shocked about. I
Right.
still haven't told you what it is,
All
but
right.
we'll get there in in this episode.
Yes.
But I want you to finish your thought because where we sort of I just want to kind of like rewind for the audience what we were talking about. I was sharing with you my story. My story is essentially about having to leave a marriage, run out of a house, having all of my credit cards being cut off, being effectively homeless for 6 weeks,
Wow.
while trying to figure out my life. This is when I was in my 20s. And I did. Part of the reason I do what I do is because I never want another woman to feel trapped. Andrea, then you said, well, why don't you talk about this more? And I'll just recap what I said, and then I want you to share what you
Yeah.
were talking about prior to recording. The
Yeah.
reason and while this is an important story, the reason I don't talk about it more, as I was attempting to justify, is that like this happened a really long time ago. And I am a little bit resistant to making that part of my past a strong part of my current identity because it feels so long ago. So yes, I can talk about it. I have no issue talking about it. But I also like every time I talk about it, I feel like I'm a little bit like bringing it up for myself. And I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
that like I need to like sit in that energy
Right.
of like remembering something that was so long ago that I've moved so far past.
Yeah.
Like, do we need to keep like circling the wagons around it? But Andrea, give me your response to that.
Okay. I have a few responses. Part of me in my PR mind, right? In my how we cultivate stories and create unique identities, right? So professionally speaking, I believe that it's so important for people to understand their why and why they are in whatever part of this career, business, life. Because what I think we forget is that whether we acknowledge it or not, it is dictating our decisions and it is the reason we are who and why and where we are today, right? Whether we like regurgitate it every day or not, it's part of us. And
Yeah.
I decided a long time ago that I was just gonna, for myself, celebrate whatever got me to today. I
Mm-hmm.
think it just takes the shame away from it and all of that, right? So that's kind of why I think when I meet with people and when we're working on especially business owners, right? Why did you start this business? What I think it does is it helps people to relate with who you
Yeah.
are. And I write about this in that the ebook that we did. I say, there's 100 plumbers that you could call. You're gonna call the one that resonates with you the most, whether it's word of mouth, whether it's their story, whatever that looks like, right? It's the connection part of it is the only thing that makes us different. And so I don't think everybody should be like, blah, blah, blah. Here's my personal life all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think where it makes sense and where it's important and where it defines you as different, unique, maybe better, maybe just more understanding. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I think that as much as I say it's not personal, it's business, I actually think that everything's personal. I really just, contradict myself every 2 minutes because it's our life,
It is.
right? We
It is.
spend a lot of time working. So I think that no, do I think that every time you walk, you should be like, hi, I left my husband and now and you should hire me? Well, no,
Right.
that's silly. But I think that when you come into a space where women feel so empowered when they talk to you,
Mm.
the reason that they do is because you get it, whether you tell them or not.
Yeah.
I think that there are more women who would work with you and be drawn and attracted to you if they knew why you get it.
Mm.
I think that's the difference in the reason why we would share the story. And what I was telling you was, I'm very similar in the fact of, I'm mixed race. I'm half black and half white, and it's never been something that I really am comfortable with how I talk about that, because it is just an interesting dynamic as a person, and it's something that has not ever been personally a big part of my identity. It's my whole identity, but it's not like a definer for me, and it's something that's always evolving in the way that I understand it. And so I've never been like, I'm a multicultural, mixed race, Black woman business owner,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm whatever, because one, I don't want to keep regurgitating something that is not an everyday part of my identity. When I look in the mirror, I see myself, I see, where I've come from and where I'm going. But in that same, what I've learned more recently in that same way is that when I am in a room and I remember that the reason I understand so many different cultures is because I'm a hot mess, expressive cultures every day. The reason that I work on helping people to understand racial division and the importance of equality and things like that is because the reason that I even exist was pretty controversial,
Mm.
right? My mom married my dad in 1971. That was only a couple years after interracial marriage was legalized, right? And so I come to this from a space where I am very aware and grateful for the life around me and my own life that like got me to here.
Mhm.
But I've never wanted it to be my full identity.
I have to respond to that because it's bringing something up for me that I don't often talk about, but I'm reminded of how similar you and I are in that way. Even though for viewers watching this, they see a very, very
Twins. We look
white
like
lady.
twins.
Yeah, exactly. But that was my experience as well. Not my dad isn't black, but my dad is Egyptian. And I grew up, I don't know if you ever, I'm curious if you experience this. I grew up not looking like my community. And I remember as a kid feeling so bad that I couldn't look more like them. And like, I'm, as you can tell, very pale. I'm going to blind someone with my hand right now, how white it is. But like, I remember going to the Egyptian church as a kid and
Wow.
these women taking my arm and looking at the flesh of my arm on the back and saying, how is she so fair? Because there's a real glorification of whiteness
Yes. Yeah.
in those cultures or in that culture.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do was look more like them. All I wanted to do was be more part of the
Yeah.
community.
Sweet, sweet baby Laura. Don't look at her arm. It's fine.
Just grab my arm and look at me. But I'm curious, did you experience that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is, when I look at I'm so empathetic to different people. And I think it's just because it's inbred in you that if you don't fit in, you are constantly you start at a spot that is not lower, but different. And you're always kind of having to fight through something. And if you're in a space where everybody is very similar to you, everyone's
Yeah,
different. That's fine.
sure.
But if you're in a space where nobody looks like you really have to chart your own course.
You do.
It's not even on purpose. I don't want to chart my own course. That's the thing I think that we can resonate with each other on is like people who are like, I chose to do this and okay, awesome. I did not have that luxury.
Mhm.
When during college, when I was really kind of just figuring all of this out, and I'm a writer, so I've written a lot of this. And one of the things that I joked about and wrote about was the fact that like, while other teenagers were figuring out like, who am I going to date? And and I was just like, I was trying to figure out what color I was.
Wow.
Like, I didn't have the luxury of just wondering, like, what? And it wasn't until the reason that I am a writer is because I needed, like, writing this stuff is what got it out and helped me to figure it out. Because I would just document, right?
Wow.
I have like pieces of memoir all over notebooks that I will one day put together and maybe change the world, right? But what it does for me is I write down the thing that happened. And then when I look at it later, and this is exactly back to your point of, I don't want to regurgitate it, but when I talk to a client about the ways that I think they can empower themselves and the fact that your story is the reason that you should be doing well in business, because everybody's got we all have the same tools. Everybody's trying to be whatever business. There's a lot of similarities in
Yeah.
the things that make money.
Yeah.
The only thing that's different is you. And so when I work with someone and help them kind of cultivate the uniqueness, which fancy words, right? Your perceived value and your brand identity and all
Yeah,
that
right.
crap, right? What it really means is, why are you great?
Yeah.
When I do sessions with people and we're working on communications and content development, you will be shocked at how uncomfortable people get if you say to them, why are you great?
I believe that actually. I think people don't want to put a spotlight on themselves. And then they wonder why they're having trouble getting business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's one other thing I have to say, it's really just hearing you speak, some of the similarities between us are really profound. I also was a writer when I was younger. But I think that, and maybe you feel similarly, I think that the reason I do this work I do, and the reason I feel like, Elevate is like this group. Okay. So it's like a mastermind. We have a group of
Mm-hmm.
women in there. And I think the reason and prior to Elevate, just forget about that. Like I was doing community management. I was creating community groups for years for companies I worked with prior to
Yeah.
this. And I think the reason I always default to community for the type of work I love doing and bringing people together is because I never had a community
Yeah.
that I felt I could be a part of.
Yeah.
And so it's become for me the core. I always want to build community. I'm freaking obsessed with it because Laura never had one.
Well, I will have to say that for Laura, who doesn't want to say these stories very often,
I don't want to say them,
but
Andrea. I haven't said them.
right. And I think that's the thing is like, again, I think we work harder to not say them. I think like, because it's there, right? You're going to think about it but I feel like I can see that in everything you do.
Yeah.
Right. And, you were talking last time that we were recording about just this challenge that you've given yourself to do video and TikTok and whatever. I'm going to just double down on that challenge and say, I would like to bet, and we will revisit this in,
Okay,
I don't know, a couple of months. I would like to bet that if you start sharing some of this why, and in whatever ways you feel comfortable with, if you start sharing some of the why that you are in the business that you are in and that you do the work that you do, you will get clients directly from them resonating with that.
Okay, Andrea, I am going to take you up on that. And I will post about this on LinkedIn next week. And we'll tag you.
Okay.
Andrea told me I had to post this.
Least case scenario, I can tell you right now that when I'm authentic, it's what we were talking about before about raw video working better. People are just craving authenticity.
They
the
are.
World is so we don't trust anybody. We don't know what's true. We can't believe we don't know if what we see is what's real. But what's real is people. And if I'm honest,
okay, so I want you to
authentic,
define something because this is like, for me, the trigger word is authenticity.
I know. I try not to say it that often, even though I believe it.
And I actually agree with you too, is being authentic. I don't think you or I are inauthentic when we don't share our stories.
No, not at all.
But tell me, and I want the audience to also know, like, when you say authenticity, what do you mean so that we can all take this away?
Yeah. So 2 things. I will say when I'm in the business of public relations, right? And so what I tell people is my definition of public relations, and this kind of goes along with the authenticity, is relating to your public. That's community, right? It's how can I relate to my public? Who is my public? How can I relate to them? So it's understanding who you are and who the public is.
Yeah.
And how they want to be related to, and how it's like, when you go to therapy and they say, well, if you say this to this person, you need to say it in a way they hear, right? That's not easy. When from someone
Andrea, we know.
It's not easy to speak. It's like speaking a different language sometimes if somebody doesn't understand you. So when I say authenticity, what I mean is speaking my truth in a strategic and on purpose way to relate what I want to get across to my public or to whoever I'm talking to, right? If we're talking about authenticity and marketing and social media, that is the broader public, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's got to be strategic. I think people get really scared about the fact that they feel like something's inauthentic if they're doing it on purpose. That's bullshit, right? That is not, look at, now I just said a whole nother swear word in this. Yeah. It's like I'm not even recording at all. It's, you think that if you're being strategic, it's not authentic and it's not real, but that's not true. What it means is you're just on purpose, right? Didn't that, somebody wrote like that life on purpose stuff? It's, you know, it's not that cheesy. It really is just, you know, I used to say this when to my sister when we would talk about dating. She'd be like, well, I'm not going to do online dating because that doesn't seem authentic. That doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem like you're naturally, and sorry, my sister will probably listen to this. I'm just going to throw you under the bus. It doesn't seem authentic to do online dating because you're not just naturally meeting someone.
Okay.
And my response to that is very much, you can tell the way that I live my life. That would be like me saying, I really want, need, desire a new pair of shoes and never going to a shoe store.
That's right. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So that doesn't mean I'm inauthentic. It means I'm doing the thing that gets me to the result that I want.
Walking the talk.
That's it. That's all it means. Yeah. It means I just identify, like you say this all the time, and I learned this from you, right? If you say you want more clients, but you're never reaching out to people who could be your clients or know somebody who could be your clients and building your network, or even just telling people what your business is, do you really want new clients?
Exactly. And I think that's kind of like, so this discussion for me, what it's bringing up for me is, and for business owners that I work with, is you have to first and foremost be honest with yourself.
Yes.
You have to be honest about what you want. I've had, you know, we've had many, 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 many success stories in Elevate, but we've also had people who decide, I want to go get a full-time job because I don't want to do this.
Right.
And I'm like, that is completely fine.
Yeah.
But sometimes that journey to realizing you don't want to do this and getting real and honest with yourself can take people months, if not years, because there's a dream, there's a fantasy, there's a hope, but the action isn't behind it.
Right.
And so to your point, you say you want clients, but you're not doing the things to get clients. So why is that? You're the person who's having trouble finding success. Why is that? When you're given all of the approaches, the strategies, the frameworks to support, but you still can't do it. Why is that? And there is always a part of me that thinks they don't really want it, and they're learning to accept that inside of themselves. That's a very black and white thing. That's not everybody's case. But I would say I see it often enough that I'm like,
and I would say I do think that's everybody's case at some level.
Really?
I think at some level, everyone is like kind of that inner battle with what I want, what I think I have, what I want, what I think I deserve, what I can manage, what I can accomplish, why I do it. I think that's like human. That's just life.
That's life.
Literally just life, right? Because it comes down to all of everything, right? It's all those decisions. I think that's why being in touch with and you know, it's the reason why my best clients become friends, because we're going to do some deep work. It's not just marketing. It's like, we're going to, like, if in a week I or a client don't cry, if we're doing like intensive cultivation, then we probably didn't get to the core of the story, right? Like, I mean, not always, but that's just a good example, right? But I think that's the part where, if people don't understand, and we said last time we talked, right? People don't want to admit that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Problem isn't a bad thing. Problem might be your why, right? For you, the problem was a 27-year-old girl who couldn't like accomplish life on her own.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that other people don't have that problem or figure out how to not have that, whatever
figure
that
out how to
looks like,
get out
right?
of that problem.
The problem isn't bad. The problem is your why. Right. And I feel like that's the part that if we can just acknowledge it, right? My problem, and I'm honest with this, people know this about me. If you look at my social media, you will see it. My problem is that in order to have the balance that I need in life, I cannot work a 9-to-5. I cannot work a corporate job. I don't do well. I can't function. I won't meet deadlines. I will be miserable and I will just go into a raging depression. This is just
same, girl. There's no way.
But like, it's my problem. It's not a bad thing. It's who I am. And instead of, I don't think everyone can and should be a business owner, right? Like, I think
100%.
just to your point, but get there, get to whatever it is, acknowledge it, celebrate it.
I could not agree more. And I think that we are, especially in the United States, we are in this glorification of the entrepreneurial life. And yes, there are wonderful rewards for people who do it.
But it is hard.
But it is hard. It is hard.
Hard.
We had a Elevate call. It was amazing. One of my clients basically sat the other one down on this call and said, listen, if you think you're going to run a business without ever feeling anxiety, like, think again.
This is not for you.
This is not for you. You have to learn. Everybody who's listening to this, please listen to me and Andrea right now. It is going to feel hard sometimes, maybe frequently. You are going to have anxiety. Yeah. You are going to wonder
every day
when things are going to happen, where they're going to happen, how it's going to come together.
Yep.
Anybody who tells you otherwise or says you will never have those feelings is a fucking liar and is probably
they're probably trying to sell you a franchise. Did I just take the words out of your mouth?
Thank you. I was going to say snake oil, but franchise. They're going to sell you anytime someone tries to say you can have all the benefits and all the rewards without any of the challenges or pain that come along with it, it's a lie. And anyone who tries, and that's not sexy. It's not sexy to tell people that. I had a client, I'm sorry, I got to just go off on a little thing here.
All right, I love it.
I had a prospect a while ago. Great person. I really think I could have helped them. But one of the things they kept saying to me was like, I don't know if I can trust you. And I was, I know, right?
I'm sorry, what?
I know. Can you imagine being a role?
I'm assuming it was a ma'am. Sorry.
Yeah. It's a ma'am.
Okay. Ma'am, why are we on this call?
Exactly.
Okay.
So,
bye. Okay. Oh my gosh.
I know. I was like, okay, so you think I'm a crook. Cool.
Awesome.
So I said, listen, and this is because they'd been burned. Well, listen, everybody's been burned. Everybody has had an experience where they've been burned. It happens. I said, well, you're welcome to go speak to a client of mine. I don't hide. If you want to go see what it's like to work with me, go talk to someone who's worked with me. I will give you people. They did. They still said no. And that's fine.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. But the thing I take back, I remember from that, is that everybody gets burned at one point or another in their life. But if you keep getting burned, if you keep going and finding people who say things that are too good to be true and believe them, you might be the problem. And so remember that, like, it happens to all of us. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you, Andrea. Yeah. But then we learn from it. We don't keep falling for it. And if you keep falling for it, examine yourself.
Yeah. Well, and figure out there's so much to unpack right there. I think it's, figuring out what it is what are you scared of, but what are you trying to accomplish that keeps getting you distracted by these people who can sell you? Like, what are they selling that you think you need? Because you keep trying to buy something that's not going to work.
The fantasy of work without pain. The fantasy of it's going to be really quick. Uh-huh. It's going to be really easy, and you're not going to have to do anything except pay me $20,000. Like, that is the thing that people kind of get very caught up in, is the fantasy.
And that just pisses me off, because people are making millions of dollars by selling us the thing that they say we can do. And it's ruining it for the rest of us, first of all. But it's also, if you are a consultant and you're in a business-to-business world, it's ruining it for the rest of us. But what it's also doing is making people don't see that the thing that they're selling you is what they're making money on the thing they're selling you. That's why you don't trust anybody. But that's why, I'll tell it, well, do you have any guarantees? I get clients who say that to me all the time. No, yeah. I say, no, I'm not a coupon. That's what I say. Awesome. No, I'm not a coupon. We will have tangible results that I will tell you how to quantify. I will explain it to you. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to tell you what I'm not doing. I'm going to tell you what I need from you. But I'm not a coupon. No one is going to turn in a coupon and say, can I please have this free slice of pizza? That's not how
exactly.
If you want a coupon, awesome. There are plenty of places where you can distribute coupons. Mm-hmm. That's just not me. I'm okay with that. Go do something else.
And in particular for our lines of work, what I always tell clients in any service-based business is, I'm going to give it my all. You're going to get the best of me. You're going to get the best of Andrea.
Yes.
But we are in an environment where we co-create the experience with our clients.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if I throw the rope out to you and I say, girl, guy, I got you. And I said, this is what we have to do to get you over to the other side. And you let it drop,
Yes.
or you're not
Yeah.
timely in responses to media requests from Andrea. You refuse to get authentic about your story. In my line of business, it's, I just don't want to put in the work consistently. Well,
Yeah.
whose fault? Like, and I'm not just trying to put everything on the client, but like, if
No.
we are giving our all, you have to give your all
Yeah.
too. And that's how you
Yes.
get results. And that's why any service provider cannot really guarantee the results. Now,
Right.
having said that, I do think that if you are working with someone and you realize within the first meeting or two, this isn't the right fit for me, that you should have that conversation.
Yes. Oh my
Like,
gosh. Oh,
talk
there's
to
that
people and say, how,
authenticity. Yeah. There's that
yeah,
honesty
like,
again.
this isn't working for me, or how can we make this work, or can you explain your process, or whatever. Not every service provider, and I hate to say this, is as ethical and as upstanding as you and I. And the truth is, there's just a lot of people, and frankly,
Yeah.
a lot of people, when people try to go for a deal, they're like, this thing is cheaper. I'm like, well, you get what you pay for.
Awesome. Yeah.
So you can do that. Just know that it's like fast, cheap, good, pick two.
You
So
can't have everything.
you can't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love this. We could again.
Literally all day. I have one more thing to say. I am not
Okay.
done. How long
Oh,
have we been
sorry.
talking for?
I don't know. It's been 30 minutes.
Jesus. All right.
2 things. First, I want to say, and then you're going to say your thing.
What?
I want to say, listeners, when I blocked off time for us to talk, she said to me, oh my gosh, you blocked off so much time. What are we going to read through the Bible?
Okay.
And I said,
hang on a
and
second.
I said, it was an accident. I blocked off an additional hour because I wanted to make sure my calendar was blocked
you
off.
blocked
And
off 3 hours.
And I pulled down the wrong tab. I pulled my time block tab. I thought I was pulling mine. I pulled yours instead. And she
I did
was
think
like,
we could read the Bible.
what
I can go find one.
the heck? What the heck?
Well, it's
No, but it's been a breeze 2 hours or hour and a half
I
right
know.
now.
Isn't this crazy? But
we're just still talking.
We're still talking.
Okay. What
Here's
do you
the last thing I have to
Yes.
say. And it's all about, it's actually not about business, but it is.
Okay.
Andrea, do you know what I have become obsessed with recently?
Is it the pickleball? Pretty sure that was your last obsession.
That was my last obsession. No, I have a
All right.
shoulder injury now that we're working on.
Oh my
Thanks
gosh.
to pickleball. But no, okay, this is going to be
Do you
crazy.
want to know who doesn't get a shoulder injury? The girl who sits on the couch all the time.
Well,
you gotta just sit around. You gotta sit down.
I am sitting down. I am.
Okay.
But it's time to move soon. Anyway. New obsession, Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, I know you're like, why are you're going to cut this out? But no, but listen to me. I am in 6 different campaigns, meaning 6 different games. Okay. Not every day, but like these are occurring through the month. This has been
You know what? I lied. Don't share your story.
Don't tell people.
No, but this is like perception and stigma. I'm hearing your story with my own preconceived ideas. So,
as is probably half the audience.
Explain the community and benefits of D&D.
Okay, so this is what I wanted. Yes, which is something I also avoided for the first 43 years of my life, because I also thought, this is a bunch of people slaying orcs and dragons and whatever, and I don't want to do that. And that's actually not really what we're doing. I'm not going to explain D&D. What I'm going to explain is the benefits it's had to me. I have never been more creatively inspired in my business as a result of fully getting out of myself for 3 hours and pretending that I'm something else and allowing myself to explore and pretend and literally play make-believe.
So this you can do for 3 hours. You can't talk to me for 3 hours.
Are we going to play D&D?
No, I can't even say it out loud. Oh my gosh. No, you forgot. I was raised a conservative Christian. I am a Christian. And so when I was raised, if you played a game like that, the devil was going to get you. Like it's so evil. It's too evil.
Really?
Yeah. This is too much of my story to tell on podcast. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm scared of that kind of stuff.
Because are you still scared of that?
There is a connection to it that I can't necessarily reconcile as that like suspension of disbelief, because I was so ingrained in me that a lot of that stuff is real.
Wow.
So there's a whole like there's a whole fairy tale, like all that Harry Potter world, all of that is really hard for me. Any of that like mystical stuff is really hard for me to connect with as a person.
So you're not into Harry Potter?
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
Isn't that weird? Like, but again, it's
no, it's not
literally
weird. It actually makes perfect sense.
that's my perfect example of we are all experiencing different realities.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. So you've created
For me, it's a space.
creativity.
It's a community again, trapped in more
Love
communities.
it.
But it's just giving me this creative outlet that has no meaning, no specific
Dang it.
goal or outcome. I'm not doing the traditional capitalist, what am I trying to achieve? I'm trying to achieve
Right.
nothing other than laughing and having fun.
Yeah.
And it has invigorated me in a way that I never would have expected. Now, I'm not saying this to go tell the audience, go play D&D, although if you want to go explore it, feel free. I am saying this because I think everybody needs to find something to do in their
Yeah.
life that has no freaking meaning
Mm-hmm.
and that is just
That's so
fun
true.
and enjoyable, and there's no purpose to it other than you having a good time.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Especially as business owners, because it's really easy for me to never stop working.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
Never.
easy to just like, because there's no start and finish, and there's no boss giving me the jobs. And so like, I can finish a thing, but then I'm reading a book about work, and then I'm like, yeah,
You're constantly
all
on.
right, I can get behind this. I mean,
And
it's
here's the other rule.
hilarious. It is hilarious. But
I'm
I
playing.
can get behind it.
I'm in a game right now. You would love this game. I'm in a game where we're all woodland creatures. I'm a deer. And my deer, her name is Bambi, and she actually
Do you get to choose your name?
Yes.
Like, do you get to choose who you are?
My deer, I decided, is the local forest drug dealer. She sells potions and barks that like make you giggle and turn your hair purple.
Okay. So
Like
like
how-
living, like you just get to live out whatever random fantasies you'd like.
Silly little things like free associate, but like, can't you see how like just being creative,
Yeah.
free association,
Yeah.
allowing yourself to be silly, like
Yeah.
that all translates at the end of the day into being better at what we do, more resilient
Yeah.
at what we do, more
Yeah.
adaptable at what we do.
Oh my gosh.
And it is the best. Now, here's my rule about anyone going to go do something around this. It
Okay.
cannot be passive. So watching TV does not count.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to be actively engaged in a
Okay.
whether it's like going to the painting nights or whatever,
Yeah.
Painting nights, it's playing a sport or a draw, whatever.
Yeah.
There has to be an active component to it because that is, I think, what makes a difference.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I mean, I can make fun of you about it, but I do love it.
I
the more you
definitely
make
fun of me, the
understand.
more I'm going to tell you to scare you.
I can't sleep now because she told me she was a Bambi.
She's
Gonna come
Bambi.
and get
What is
me.
she doing? Yeah.
I love that. You know what though? That's how I am with when I started TikTok and I started making videos, and it was because it's the only social media space where I'm not working, because I do social media for so many people and for my business. So
You aren't working.
I don't promote it. I'm not trying to build an audience. Because I love fashion. I love putting outfits together. I love complaining about random things. So my
Oh my God.
TikTok is,
Yes.
I'm a mom, I'm a shopper, I'm a whatever. Like and it's something that is so like, I just get to be creative or just get to be exactly who I want to be, where I'm not trying to like brand myself and my business. So I get it. I respect that.
Maybe that's your creative outlet.
100% it is. Did you hear that beep in my ear? Okay.
No.
All right.
Is this thing breaking again?
No, my calendar went off in my ear. But yeah, that's 100% my creative outlet, because I don't have to be anything else.
Yeah.
And
you
it
just
is
have
kind
fun.
of like a make-believe. I'm not trying to like prove anything to anyone. I mean, now, would I love to go viral and have hundreds of thousands of people just hearing me talk about random crap? Yes. But that's also not a business goal. It's literally just my personal creativity.
I love that. I have always felt that, okay, prior to TikTok, do you know my favorite channel on TV was QVC? And people would always say, you should do that for a living. I haven't never gotten into that TikTok selling the clothes, but
Yeah.
maybe I should do that.
You should. Well, my favorite channel was TLC, watching home improvement shows, and then
Yes.
like reality TV Bravo.
Yes.
So TikTok is like the combination of the two, right? I can do like a how to, I can just talk about random things. I don't have to be, I can just be like, hey, here's this random thing I'm thinking about in the car. So
100%.
I love it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Girl, so fun.
If you're still here and listening to this a couple episodes in, we are doing this thing. We don't know what it's called and we don't know what it's going to do, but we both decided that we want to share more about our lives and our business and that you should hear it. So here we
Basically,
are. If there's something you want us to talk about, you should tell us and we will. But
this
there
is
we
really
go.
fun. I'm so
This
glad
is
I
so
am
fun.
so glad you were like, let's do this.
I know.
Because
It's
awesome.
very rare that I go from impulse to execution. I mean, it's not rare. I'm getting better at it.
Okay.
But here we
Here
go.
we
We did
go.
it.
Giddy up.
B minus this B minus
This
this
is a B
podcast.
minus. This is like
so B minus. The first one cut off. The second one we talked about D&D and Laura's a
my
Bambi.
God, that's an A plus for me. That's your F, but that's my A.
No, it's an A plus. Authenticity is an A plus. So if you are willing to share that, there's probably some other business owners who are really into that who would want to work with you. Relate to the public.
I have really considered. You remember my
Like
first guest.
Like a mock elevate where everybody gets to be who they want to be.
I've really considered
Like a simulation.
organizing a D&D thing, but it's not. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be Dungeons and Dragons. It
Yeah.
would be like something that is approachable for women, like
Babes in
woodland
bottles.
creatures. Like what?
I said babes in bottles. I don't know. It's
Babes
the first
and
thing,
bottles. Yeah.
first thing that came to my mind.
Okay, I know we have to go, but here's what I'm
Yes.
doing tonight, just to
Okay.
like dispel this D&D nightmare from your head. I'm gonna go play a role playing game that is where we are all characters in a telenovela. Like, come on, Andrea. Come on. That's
Wow.
fun.
Okay, can I go next time? That sounds
This is what I'm
amazing.
talking about. If
All
we just
right.
take the word Dungeons and Dragons out of it,
Yeah.
and we're just like, it's a role
No,
playing
I love
game.
it. But everything you're saying to me says to me, hey, I'm awesome and single and don't have to make dinner for a kid. That's what
Can
you're
you
saying
tell
to me.
that I am single with no children?
I've never wanted, I love my life, but this is like, if I was going to say fuck you to someone, I would be saying it to you right now. Like, hey, I'm going to play games until I hurt my shoulder and then I'm going to fix my shoulder and play
More
6
games.
Dungeons and Dragons games. Then I'm going to go to a telenovela on a Friday night.
I know.
I'm not cooking for anybody. I'm not taking anyone
No.
to basketball. I love my life, but that's the difference.
Well, Dad, it's choices.
But like, yeah. But I mean, that's what I love though about us is because we don't have the same lives, but we really, really do understand each other. And I love that. It's hard to celebrate your life. So awesome. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
See you guys another day.